Why don't I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Keith, Eric, Linda, good to have you guys here. First item on the agenda was to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. All right, next on the agenda, we've a pretty focused agenda today. We have ears in the community, and then really the focus is on discussing our next steps surrounding the release of the vision plan. But so I guess since we have it on the agenda, anybody have anything they want to share from ears in the community?
I can go. A couple of folks have reached out to me noting they had wanted to fill out the survey, and kind of, is it too late? So I think as we think about rolling out the vision plan, we should, as part of our communication, include some type of like ongoing feedback loop that yes, it's okay to fill out the survey when you can get to it, and we'll still be monitoring your thoughts. So we should include that in communication. And I am going to be introduced to the guy who develops the 4Kicks. So right, Taunton 4Kicks. So I think there's about 4, or they're like indoor sports facilities.
Okay.
Big lacrosse, soccer facilities, and they have outdoor turf surrounding them. But just wanted to kind of get in front of him and see what he thought of the location, and could be a good fit for MCI.
Okay. Super. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Aaron, anything from you? I'll take the message now.
No, I haven't heard much since the last workshops.
Yeah, I don't really have anything either. I think I'm sure that people are waiting to see the report itself, but I haven't no specific follow-up from anybody that's worth raising. Okay, thank you. So I guess the real question on the agenda for today is, what do we want to do in terms of releasing the report? I checked our website again this morning, and the MCI Concord site is essentially unchanged for the last many weeks. No mention of the plan itself at all, nor even that we're done with this phase of the work and moving into the next one. Just to kind of get our thinking going, I had circulated a document with some thoughts on July 9th about how we might go about. Oh, sorry, Shannon, go ahead.
I just wanted to give a quick update that Megan and I met with Rhiannon and Justina from agency on Wednesday, and just going off the discussion from the advisory board meeting, they're going to make the correction type edits that we discussed, and any other sort of larger questions with the report we were just going to table for now. We also started asking them about, John, you mentioned like some other website updating, and if there's anything they could do one-off. Megan asked them if they could price that out so we could see what that would be from a procurement standpoint, but also they said they're going to get back to me about like getting a username and password for the website. So, and try to give me a lesson on like how I could update that website also.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
So I just wanted to give you an update there.
Did they have a sense of when they might have that quote? And
my understanding was it would be next week.
Okay. That's great to know, because I think they're going to be integral. We at a minimum that needs to be handed off to somebody, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's good. Yeah, the gist. Do you guys? Shall I just share my document that I created? Let me just do that. 2 secs. I am the master of sharing documents, as you can tell. Second. The meeting wants to stay on top. You don't have that, do you, Shannon? Let's see here.
I can look for it. 1 second. I know I have it in email.
I have it here. I'm just having a hard time sharing. Here we go. Okay. Can you all see that?
Yes.
I'm gonna make it a little bigger. Okay. So that is taking up the main part of the page.
Yep, you're good.
Right, okay, good. So this was the version I had drafted back and sent to the committee members in July 9th. We have not had a chance to discuss this in person at all. But the idea was to propose some steps for actually rolling out the plan. So the first kind of component would be the website, updating the website. And the thought was that, and again, I think this is all subject to discussion with Rhiannon, and those guys are the experts here, and they'll have thoughts. But the idea was to basically create a dedicated page on the website that would provide context for the report, the key takeaways from the report, then actually allow you to kind of click into different sections of the report directly. So it would make it would be an easily navigable page, allowing people to get right to the parts of the report that they found most interesting. And let's see, up at point 5 here, the chance to actually provide some feedback on the report as well, because as you say, Emily, I think that it is well worth continuing to keep the channels open for people to provide their input. I think that should be the case for until this project is done. So that was the first component was the website. And then I just looking at the website this morning briefly, we'll have to update other parts of the website too, just to make it clear, like, this phase is done, but that's part of it. Then the second was, and this I think is kind of going above and beyond, but might be worth doing if they're able to quote for it, or if we think the pricing is reasonable, but to have some kind of a social media campaign that would, make sure that people know the report is done and out there, and essentially provide opportunities for people to click through to see the report. So I had proposed a number of different, simple posts that might be able to be used. Again, I would leave all this in Rhiannon's hands to figure out exactly what to say, but these were just meant to be illustrative. And then the last section was around other
Put your
things.
backpack.
Was around other things we might decide to do. One was to create some kind of a simple, lightweight leave behind that we could distribute around town. Something lighter than the 80 to 90 page report itself. Second would be, we could have a public workshop at the MCI site. I think that would be in many ways a fun wrap up for the current phase of work and kickoff of whatever comes next. We know that people are dying to get inside there, so I think that the inquiries about whether that's possible are already kind of underway. So that would depend on that. And then we could just send do some kind of outreach to the bridge. It would be nice to, I think, concurrent with the release of the new site, to reach out to the bridge and say, hey, we'd love to get our co-chairs or whomever in front of you to answer any questions, and again, publicize the fact this has happened. So
Just a question to interrupt. What happened with the drone video?
That kind of got stuck inside the production facility. I think we were hoping to get that done right before April 19th. And I think that, and I felt like we might have it done like a week or 10 days before, but the final editing never got finished.
Can we revisit that? Because I think that would be.
Yeah, I'll take that as an action item, Emily.
That'd be great. Thank
Good
you.
idea. Great idea. Yeah. So I guess I'll throw those ideas out to the committee. Again, that was just a first set of thoughts, but what do you guys think?
I think I love the ongoing communication. I think as you've heard me say before, I think I'll speak sort of for my generation of people. Like, I think people might wonder what's going on with the MCI. I don't think it's a natural to say, oh, let me go look at the website of what's happening at MCI. So I do think we should create some type of Facebook, Instagram page just that says, just that directs to the site. So like, oh, hey, the vision plan is out, go check it out. Or another week later, hey, don't forget to keep providing your input, right? We can decide how frequently updates need to be made.
Mhm.
I just think that will trigger more interest and for people to stay more engaged.
Mhm.
And then I do like the idea of like a hard leave behind. I just wonder like the cost to produce that, and again, knowing sort of the projected timeline of how long it's going to take to effectuate anything on the site. Is that worth it? But there's probably a generation of folks that would go to the library and take it away and really absorb it, for instance. So, you leave it at coffee shops, but so maybe,
Okay, so I just ordered a little printed booklet for something else, and you can get little booklets made, depending on how long it is and everything else, made for dollars a piece.
yeah,
Um, would it be worth us at least kind of, and again, I'm assuming that we're going to ask Shannon. I think we should basically be sure that Rhiannon gives us a quote for all these options, based on the way they think it would best be handled. But why not get a price for printing 1,000 pieces or 2,000 pieces? And it would, they're going to have to take the report and distill it down to something that's going to be, I don't know, 8 pages long or something, right? A lot shorter, a lot smaller. But it does feel like giving people something they can take home is a good thing.
yeah.
I mean, actually, should we ask for? I mean, we could even potentially we could actually do a townwide mailing. We did the postcard to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm envisioning something like a couple years ago when we had to tack on a special town meeting to annual town meeting, and so we had to mail a very small or short warrant. Like we could do something like that, which wasn't a huge lift in terms of funds, and we have a bunch more funds for FY26 now. So I think the next action item for the advisory board is to put together the request for the select board on the 11th about what you want to do with the funds. So this is something that could be included in that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
I think that's a very good idea. Um,
Just sort of dovetailing off that a little bit, but just thinking about keeping community engagement. My son, I don't remember if it was in 6th grade or 7th grade, but had a social studies class where they had taken a parcel of land in Concord and sort of had to envision how they would adapt that land today. But I'm just wondering if there would be, if we would reach out to the schools and just like, a way to keep the younger folks engaged as well, whether they include it in their educational programming or whether it's just a fun, like if they want to form a committee around ideas they have, it could be kind of a fun project to engage students.
I think we could. I think I would.
Maybe more work than it's worth.
I kind of feel like we just have to have a little more certainty as to what comes next. But
Yeah.
at some point, yeah. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, in other words, if the advisory board goes to the select board and says, this is what we recommend, and the select board says, yes, that sounds great, and here's the timeline we're on, doing something that would dovetail with that schedule, I think it would be good. I mean, remember, we did hear from one of the high school classes about it. We heard from a Concord Academy class, both of which were interested. So yeah, some kind of follow up with students, I think is a good idea at the appropriate time. Yeah. Shannon, is it worth, I don't know what you and Megan shared with agency up to this point in terms of, a follow-up piece of work, but is it worth, did you share this document with them?
I did share, well, no, actually, I think Did you send two different documents? Is that the document that you sent to Patrick and Dan ahead of the meeting?
I sent them another document.
Okay, I think that's what I shared with agency. That was direct comments about the vision plan. I
Yeah.
sent them all of the comments that I received on the vision plan from the advisory board members.
So I guess I would suggest if you could share this with them.
Yeah,
Again, this is, I would say, more illustrative than anything else, but
yeah,
we know we got to do something with the website. I think we like the idea of seeing what an ongoing social media campaign would look like in terms of continuing engagement and bringing people to the site to review the report. I'd be curious to know how many people have actually clicked through and watched it, or seen it, from time to time. The idea of some kind of a leave behind or piece that would either be, it could be left behind, but we could also mail it out to
yeah.
the community would be great to understand. And would we want to have them draft some kind of a survey, Emily, to your original point? I mean, just some kind of, I don't know, some kind of feedback on the vision plan, or maybe that's kind of unrelated. There's no reason we couldn't figure that out, a few months from now, but
Or can you keep the existing survey alive and then, or maybe, right, it's taking a look at the existing survey, how would the questions change based on the vision plan? Or do you just add a question about, what do you think of the vision plan?
right.
Enhance it a little bit to make sure that and maybe change the language around it, so it's not, this is due on July 15th, right? It's sort of more of an ongoing feedback.
Right.
Yeah, I thought the way the survey was drafted in the spring was, supposed to feed into the scenarios that they discussed in the report. So, but it could still be reframed to be, what did you think about the scenarios that were presented in the report, instead of what were things that you want to see in the scenarios. So I'm sure they could do that as well. I think on the website, there's also just like the open comment form. But that's not the same as the survey. That's just like, if you want to reach the advisory board, you can just fill out a form from the MCI-Concord .org website.
Yeah, I think the current or the most recent survey doesn't really make sense given that phase work is all done. But again, having this, and this may not have to happen. I mean, my priority here is I think we should get the plan out there, right? But do it in a way. So that should be a relatively near-term deliverable, getting the plan out for the community to see. A survey or follow-up on what you think of the plan, what do you think we should do in terms of scenarios? I think would be something separate and new. That would be valuable for sure. But again, let's find out from agency, what they would recommend and what it will all cost. Shannon, as you say, we have money that's been appropriated. Let's make use of it. We definitely jumped kind of right into ideas. Are there other broader thoughts people have on, as we think about community outreach for this next phase? What does our mission change? Do our goals somehow change, or, as we go into this next, what thoughts does anyone have on that?
I think it's just more of like enhanced connectivity with DCAM and maybe DOT to just communicate. Like, I think the mission is still to communicate and keep folks apprised. But maybe it's more of like, this action item occurred, right? So we're, to sort of, because I think for a lot of people, it's going to feel like nothing's happening. So
Mhm.
how can we communicate, whether it's outside of our committee, that there is progress being made? Okay, right. We transacted on the wastewater treatment plant, or DCAM has fully evacuated all of the stuff in the prison, right? Just like some milestones that have occurred to demonstrate progress.
Right. Yep, I agree with that. So that probably could happen via our social media campaign, again, ongoing updates to the website. Eric, you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, do we do like a revisit to some of the groups we presented to before? Is there an ask from agency to maybe develop like a very short slide deck for us of the scenarios and the kind of summary of the report that we could kind of revisit some of those groups and have a little bit of an updated presentation to share with them and get additional feedback?
I love that idea. It's a great idea. We haven't even talked, we've got our stakeholder list, right? Mailing out an updated communication to that list concurrent with a website update. And I like the idea of having a deck we can go around and offer to come back to, for a second trip, second visit. I think that makes good sense. Eric Moore, you had a hand raised?
Oh, hey, good morning. Thank you for calling on me. I have a few thoughts, and just I think to sort of build on what Emily was saying. I think that, as a member of the public, I think there's this long-term change we're talking about with the MCI property, and I think I feel a little bit like the narrative of long-term change, the key actors and decisions, and as Emily said, the milestones, is a story that it's kind of hard to get to, and I think that DCAM is owns the prop in effect, and it will be able to make the decision around the property. The public's role is to embrace a vision and create support for what could happen. Well, let me put it this way, right? Ultimately, we want developers to see commercial opportunities, but also developers if they question around, what remediation liabilities are there. So those actors then have both opportunities and unknowns to deal with. DCAM is a huge actor here. They have their policy goals. The town, our consent as voters is necessary for zoning changes, and our appetite or demonstrated appetite or resistance for potential projects is a key factor in getting stuff done. And we've also got the Mass DOT as another actor. And then, this committee is at the middle of all of that, trying to figure out the right strategy for the town that's conditioned on your understanding the fiscal health of the town, the policy goals of affordable housing and so on, all those things that you've talked about. But again, it comes back to what does the public want? And so this work that the committee and agency has done in listening and visioning and outreach is towards, in a way, getting the town, the voters to articulate what they feel is right for this. But that voicing is just part of a long-term overall process. And I feel like that big picture is missing a bit. So that's one point I wanted to make, and I'll try to be concise. I think, a video leave behind, a 10-minute video, maybe from folks from the committee that talks about, your work in the committee and where this report fits might be an accessible way for folks to sort of, be communicated to. And I'll suggest as well, perhaps a 4-page insert in the bridge that is a big impact. Everybody in the town sees it, and it's a way to get a lot of information out in one spot. So thank you.
Thank you. Those are good ideas.
Yeah, thank you.
Keith?
Thanks very much. Keith Bergman, hat I'm wearing today is as a member of the land use working group. And we've had a couple of meetings and have discussed that one of the things that we will want to do is establish a community outreach committee. And so we'll probably be back in touch to take notes and see how you've approached it. As far as the report, as far as MCI Concord itself is concerned, that property is one of a couple of dozen that are on the land use working group's plate. And in order for us to get a handle on all of the options that the town has for all of the properties it's considering, is to have some notion of what the timeline is for each property. And there are so many issues with MCI Concord: wastewater, MassDOT, and those strike me as probably the top two, if not for the overall economic development climate that we're all facing. There are two approved affordable housing developments under Chapter 40B, neither one of which is moving forward right now, and until we hear the financial climate is a little more predictable. And so there's all these things hanging out there, and I think it would be helpful to have the public understand what the timeline is, what the process is. I know on the wastewater, a complicating issue is who's going to come up with the $25 million to fix the existing system at MCI Concord. And considering it costs so much, is it more advantageous to as I know Alan Cathcart is looking at, maybe build a new one somewhere, and if you're going to spend that kind of money to design something else. So lots of issues. I just put in a plug for the timeline so that the voters understand it. Are we going to go to town? When are we going to go to town meeting with zoning? Is that going to be the spring of 2026? Is it going to be later? And as well, how is the collective $600,000 that remains committed for this project? How are those funds going to be used? Thanks.
All good points. All good points. Yeah. Eric, back to your idea. I really like the idea of putting something in the bridge. It feels almost like a more efficient way of getting information in front of the entire town than more efficient even than a direct mailer, which runs the risk of them getting lost in the mail. I think that's a good idea. And the idea of a video also, I think just in terms of being accessible to people, that could be a really good way to do it too. Great thoughts. Great thoughts. And Keith, you said, I'm just curious, you mentioned a couple of dozen sites that are on the kind of the agenda for the new committee. Is that right? Are there that many?
Well, yeah, I say that because the town itself has identified 18 separate locations where its functions exist, and they're looking at consolidating a number of those, which would then free up some of those other locations for other purposes. So it's a huge jigsaw puzzle of pieces, and much of it is and what we can do when is subject to very different time constraints. Consolidation, for example, of town functions at the Peabody Middle School would be something that could proceed without, if the town chose to do that, without waiting for either 2229 Main Street or MCI Concord to come on board. And so there's a whole bunch of policy decisions that the town needs to be making soon. Thanks.
Okay.
Oh, and could I mention, I'm confident that we'll probably read something in the Concord Bridge today about the report. The report has been posted publicly at the Land Use Working Group website since, for 2 weeks now.
I'm not sure if you knew that. I knew it had been shared with that committee. I didn't know it was online, but that makes sense. Yeah. So we got to move quickly. I mean, just trying to kind of synthesize this. It feels like there are kind of two Shannon. Go ahead.
I also just wanted to let you know that Megan has started like a Civic Concord podcast. And she did an episode with Rhiannon, but John, I don't think you were available when they did that recording. And I'm sure she'd love to do another one with you on the actual vision plan itself.
Okay. let's talk about that as well. I think it feels like we have a couple things. One is there's the report release. I think our website should have this report on it, and we need to get that done ASAP. I think that is kind of the priority. Then there's there are a whole bunch of things we can do in terms of ongoing engagement or other, ways of publicizing, promoting, keeping the discussion going about the vision plan. A lot of good ones have been suggested. What about this? Shannon, do you want to just talk to agency about these two separate dimensions? So the report release and then ongoing engagement, get their thoughts on it. And then what I'd like to do ideally is to get the report out even before this committee meets again, if possible, if they're able to do that. And if Megan is comfortable with whatever the cost of that is. I think that the advisory board's last call, people are comfortable with it, recognize that's important. So assuming it's not going to be, swamp our budget, which I don't think it will. I think we should get that done as soon as we can. But then what if at our next call with this group, we have agency here once we know that they're willing and able to work with us going forward. And let's actually just, make some decisions on exactly what we're going to do in terms of ongoing engagement.
Yeah, I think we're definitely gonna have the report to put online next week. They said they would get it to us with the revisions next week, and then yeah, we'll need to get it both on the dedicated MCI Concord.org website, and then Donna can do a big push on the town's website too.
Okay. Aaron?
I wonder if it would be worth framing what we want from the community at this stage. Like what, for a while we were in sort of a like fact finding information sharing phase. Then we kind of moved into the planning phase with agency around the scenarios. We've kind of rolled some scenarios out with the report. But, at this phase, this is going to be a long project, so we're going to continuously have to kind of help people figure out what the priority for their attention is. What are we looking for people to tell us at this point? Like, what are we still in the kind of disseminating information phase and getting some input? I think based on the discussion we had at the advisory board, we're a little ways away from a town meeting review. So we're not quite at a educate people about the choices at town meeting. So, maybe it's worth brainstorming a little bit at future meeting or now what we think people, what we want the community to be telling us, and are there stakeholders we haven't reached yet, or do we feel like folks know kind of what's in play and they're kind of waiting for our input?
Mm-hmm. What do you think? It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I sort of feel like I feel like there may be some stakeholders we haven't quite gotten to yet. In particular around like adjacent towns. I think we've done a really good job at outreach inside Concord, but I'm wondering if there's other communities that we should be speaking to, Acton or Maynard or other towns that are proximate that, we, are going to be essentially bordering this parcel, and is there input that they could provide? I don't know if it's a meeting with their select boards or their finance groups or whoever it is, but are there kind of opportunities to engage on a like town government level with some of those groups? And do we also think about like the cadence of this, and is there sort of, we've rolled out the report, do we give people a period of time to, I don't want to say go quiet, but do we give people a period of time to sort of digest that until we have like more news to share with them?
Mm-hmm. On that last point, you're saying instead of just like trying to keep up this.
Yeah, at a certain point, it just becomes noise,
just
right? Like people don't receive it anymore because they're like, oh, it's another MCI thing, but nothing's happening. And like, do we make our outreach very targeted with like significant updates that have importance, versus a continuous kind of explanation of what's happening?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All good thoughts. Yeah. Shannon, what do you think about the idea of us having a joint call with agency to discuss all this?
I think that they would be willing based on what we heard from them this week.
Yeah.
So I can speak with Megan about that and see if we can get something scheduled with them.
Okay. Why don't you do that, and then let's invite the members of the committee, and if we're going to have two or more of us who are able to make it, then we should post it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think again, if they're going to implement a lot of this for us, it would be good to actually have them on the phone to discuss it with us. It does feel like we really need like a 6-month timeline that says, okay, here's what we're going to do between now and the end of the calendar year, for example, right? And I do think the nice thing about where we are calendar-wise is it's the middle of the summer, so I'm not sure people are going to be clamoring for news. But when people come back after Labor Day, people will be looking for something. So this is actually a good time for us to do that planning.
Yeah, I agree. And I know, in the legislation from the state, DCAM also has to have a certain amount of public hearings. And I think they were also thinking about having one in the fall or something, depending on what the advisory board thought and how they would maybe collaborate on that.
Yeah, I was going to add, this is probably a topic for the advisory board, but we haven't really gotten an update from Paul in a while on like, where is DCAM in their process, and are they just kind of waiting for us and they're reacting to what we're doing, or they're moving forward with developing their RFPs for developers or parcelization, or how are they moving forward?
Okay. So I think if let's use the rest of the summer to finish our kind of medium-term planning around what we're going to do from a community outreach standpoint. We'll do what we can to get the report out ASAP, but I think the immediate next step, Shannon, is for you to coordinate a meeting with agency and members of the committee who are available. It'd be great if that could happen the next week or so.
Yeah.
And then a lot of good ideas were raised in this call, so appreciate those. Keith, not one more idea, or do you have more ideas?
Well, it's just to follow up Aaron's suggestion about reaching out to neighboring communities and wearing another hat as Concord's representative to the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. I know that the land use subcommittee had also identified that as an outreach objective and using the so-called magic subregion of MAPC. It's a group of the 13 towns between Littleton and Lexington along Route 2 as a convenient way to pull together the town representatives to be able to get briefed on MCI Concord. I saw it just at a town managers meeting in Quincy yesterday. I saw Maynard and Acton among others, and there's great interest in this, and especially if it involves fixing the rotary somehow. So you might want to just be sure to be working with Peter Lowett's subcommittee as you move forward about reaching. It's a worthy goal to reach out to the neighbors. Thanks.
Yep. Excellent. Eric?
Yeah, thank you. Just a macro question. Has the committee made a recommendation, not the subcommittee, but the overall committee made a recommendation in terms of, or made a judgment about what to recommend to the select board at this time? I mean, there's the vision plan, right? And you're talking about a plan, but I just don't know if you all have voted yet. And when that would happen, so to speak, where in your process would a judgment happen? The other thing really small is just in looking at the document now, to have bookmarks, it's a long document, right? So to have bookmarks, so you can navigate the document section by section would be helpful in the PDF file. Shannon knows what that's about, but yeah, thank you.
To your first question, we have not made a judgment. That's what we spent the bulk of our last meeting talking about. What might that be? What should that be? So that's an ongoing discussion at the advisory board. and have making sure the report is navigable as easily navigated as possible. Absolutely. Okay. Are there other thoughts that we should cover today? Shannon, you'll take the lead on following up with the agency and
Yeah.
let us know.
I'll
Right.
do that. And I also reached out to Minuteman Media Network this morning too to follow up on the drone footage.
Great. I do think the suggestions about reaching out to our stakeholder list and also to some more explicit, some of the adjacent towns, for example. I think I like the whole MAPC idea. Maybe this fall, we go out to some of those meetings and we have a presentation and we share, what was done over the last year and a half, so that all those stakeholders have a very clear picture of what it is. I think that's a good suggestion.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that group, but that reinforced for me that asking agency for that, whatever roadshow of material they have probably just needs to be put together. Would be helpful for future meetings this fall.
Yep. Okay. I think that covers our agenda, unless there's anything else that people would like to discuss. Okay, in that case, I think we can adjourn.